winners, and welcome to Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Will. We have a treat for you today. We have a very special guest who is going to talk about travel, but from the perspective of language and culture and how it can shape identity. Don't want to share too much. We're going to let her share her story, but really excited for you Wanderlusters to hear the story that we have from our special guest. But before we pass the baton over and find out more, please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow Two for the Win on all the major platforms, whichever one's your favorite. We're on all of them, including YouTube. And also want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations, making your dream vacations a reality. Thank you, Nick Menard. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hello, Will. Very excited for today's episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you like the honors of introducing our special guest?
My pleasure. So our guest today is originally from Montreal, Canada, and now based in the US. She hosts From Where to Here, a podcast exploring how culture, language, and migration shapes identity, belonging, and the way we experience the world in general. So it's our pleasure to introduce to you to Alex Lloyd. Thank you so much for joining us today, Alex. Very excited.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So first of all, I'm very excited about the why your podcast name is From Where to Here, because it's amazing. I think it's an amazing name that's sticking there, but it can really, tell a lot of different stories. So tell us a little bit more about where that name came from.
Yes, sure. Well, sometimes I think it's not that original because of the choice of words, but really where it stemmed from is from Canada to the US, from Montreal to Birmingham, Alabama. And that kind of tells my story in short, if you will, but also anyone's story, because I have hosts, I have guests on a monthly basis that I tell their story. And that's also important. That's part of what I'm doing with From Where to Here.
That's fantastic. I actually listened to a few episodes, in preparation, and you have really people from all around the world. So it's perfect. I love that because it gives perspective on, different culture and different aspect of, how people live life and, different part of the continent. So it's pretty amazing. So your move from Montreal to Birmingham, Alabama, you need to tell us, because it's probably a culture shock, I would imagine. So how did that shape the way you see culture and belonging?
Yes. So as you said, I grew up in Montreal, Quebec, and cultures and languages always felt normal to me. French and English, beyond being two of the official languages, they really are two different ways of seeing the world. And when I moved to the US in 2017, it was a shock. I did not realize up to this point how that multicultural environment had shaped me into the person that I've become. So yeah, and about a little over a year ago, I realized that I needed and I wanted to bring back more of that culture into my life. And one of the ways to do that was to start my own podcast. I've always loved languages, especially Spanish. It has a special place in my heart, and love traveling, obviously. And also, I've always been curious about other people's culture. And so that curiosity has led me to start From Where to Here. And also, at that same time, explore how cultures and languages travel with us, but also shape who we become. And I really believe that.
Wow. Well, I can relate. I'm from Belgium, as followers probably know by now.
Yeah.
But it's pretty amazing that you thought about starting something to share different experience and point of view, which is very important in this day and age. So congratulations for you to take that step and actually doing it. Why is Spanish something special for you, if you don't mind me asking?
That's maybe still a mystery in a way, but I just love how it sounds. Interesting fact about me, I started learning Spanish before English. And that was in primary school. And so it was part of my brain in a way, and it followed me. And then in college, I picked Spanish as a second language to learn because I had a session I could pick anything, and that's what I did. And later on, actually, I have a little story maybe for you, but I did Spanish later on and start making making friends, not French, but I speak French, yes. Start making friends with Latinas, and just as a way to immerse myself more. My phone is in Spanish as well. And I have some thoughts too about learning a language, but yeah, Spanish is just has special place in my heart, for some
Oh,
reasons that I mean, I love the culture, I love the songs in Spanish, the music. Um, I think there's a lot that I love about it, really.
That's fantastic. Have you ever gone somewhere to visit Carnival when they have it, like in
Um,
Brazil or anything? Well, that's
no,
Portuguese, of course, but
I
like there's other places that Carnival. Yeah, yeah,
I will have to go, but no, I haven't been to Brazil or any of those, I guess
yeah.
fancy.
Brazil actually speaks Portuguese, but they have like different
Yes.
variations of it and that. So, in some of the countries, but I'm just curious, like going from Montreal to Birmingham, Alabama. I don't know how many other folks from Montreal you may have met when you moved to Birmingham. I'm going to say it's probably not many,
Not
but
many, but not zero either.
okay. All right. Okay.
I At some point I started a Facebook group because one of the first things I've done is okay, like who can I find that speaks French here in Birmingham that I can meet with, that I can connect, and because it has been ups and downs, obviously. Like I have a whole video about it. If you want. That would be it's over an hour. But I did start that Facebook group thinking, okay, I can connect with other Frenchies. That's how I kind of refer at other people, other French speakers near me. And I started that group. Now it's over 100 people. Not a lot compared to a big metropolitan city where you can have much more speaker of that language, but still. And some are native French speakers, others are teachers at school locally that speaks French as well. Others are just have a love for French and they want to immerse themselves with other French speakers. So it's a good blend. And we have people from France, from Canada. We're a handful of Quebecois and Quebecoises. And yeah, it's great. We have some meetups here and there. Not every single month, but I try to at least have one every other month.
Nice.
very
That's
cool.
really good. Have you found a place that serves good beignets?
Okay, so beignets, yeah, they're more in New Orleans as far as I know. I love my croissant, but
Oh,
I poutine. I did find one time a good place for a poutine.
oh,
Funny enough, one birthday I was celebrating with friends, and I was really on the hunt for a poutine, like randomly, and I ended up finding one. I don't know. That place closed down
uh,
afterwards, unfortunately, but it was a treat that day.
that's fantastic. So before jumping on the next major question, I will
Mhm.
ask something. So because I'm pretty sure people listening to this are wondering, like, why moving from Quebec to Birmingham? Can you just tell us the why, please?
We have not addressed that. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I moved for love. I met my
there we
now
go.
husband in the Cayman Islands. That was in December of 2014. And uh, we, let's see. So we got married in February of 2017. But through that process, I mean, we were doing a lot of back and forth, went through the visa process that took a year. And so when I finally got my letter in the mail, we went through the K-1 visa. For those who don't know, you have 90 days to get married after. But it's not like the show. It is not like the show where people like have never seen each other in person. Like we have seen each other multiple times, but still, I mean, obviously it's not like you can date in the same city. Um, but yeah, after that, I moved to Birmingham because that's where he's from. So he grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. And I'm more kind of the free spirit between the two, and so it was easier for me to move. His family is more concentrated in the same place than mine, so there were a few reasons that made us believe that this was the right move. But obviously, at first, it all sounds new and exciting, and it is. And then there's a period that's like, ooh, okay, that's harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And then you find yourself in that, and I think that's really what I've been able to do.
So would
Awesome.
you say the over under is 100 on how many times you've heard the song Sweet Home Alabama since you've lived there?
I don't know how many times, but I will say that's the only thing I knew about Birmingham, Alabama, versus Alabama as a whole. That's the song, "Sweet Home Alabama." And then I learned Roll Tide, that was the second thing.
Roll Tide.
There you go. Got the
Roll
football.
Tide.
Yep,
That's
nice.
fantastic. So, what's something travelers often miss after a culture when they visit?
Mm. Well, first of all, I don't think there's a bad or wrong way to travel because sometimes you might just wanna relax by yourself, and that's completely valid. But I think one of the things well, I think that asking questions open up doors, better questions specifically, but also tone of voice, body language, the gestures, the intonation of your voice. These are subtleties that you don't learn in textbooks. You don't learn trying to have perfect grammar. And oftentimes, that's the kind of thing that people will focus on, including myself. And so I actually did 20 weeks of intense Spanish with a tutor online for an hour each week. And my reward at the end of it was to travel to Cartagena,
Colombia.
Colombia. Yes. And I went there with one of my friends who is Colombian. She was kind of our private guide, lucky for us. And I got to hang out with her and her friends and really immerse myself and pick up on the subtleties and pick up on the things that you don't know until you hang out with the people from that
Mhm.
culture. Because sometimes it's not what you ask, it's how you ask it. And that's what I wanted to allow myself to pick up on during that trip.
Wow, I have so many questions about Cartagena. We did an episode recently about Colombia with one of our friends who is from Colombia. So she definitely loved Cartagena. She was always mentioning that because people mention so many different places, Medellin and different places in Colombia. But for her, is Cartagena is the place to be. So that's pretty cool. That's the city in the wall and things like, yeah, she explained everything. So I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure that was culturally, it was probably a highlight to be able to go to Colombia for that.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
so
we
cool.
had a great time. It was really hot and humid too, I would say, which we're used to
Um,
in Birmingham, so it wasn't too different from that perspective, but
yeah. So we went from Quebec, we went to Birmingham, Alabama, we went to Cartagena, but I know you recently traveled to Japan as well. So you are a world traveler, which is fantastic. So what surprised you most culturally about Japan?
well, first of all, Japan was amazing. I think everyone needs to at least go once in their life. I told myself and I told my husband, I said, "Well, we're just gonna go there once and that will be fine." Now I could see us going back with a different purpose. So definitely a great trip. I think one of the things that surprised me the most was um it was the respect, but not only the respect that they have for like the person in front of them, the respect that they have for history, for previous generations, and that was often shown through rituals, walking in temples, um, and the little gestures and things of that nature. So that really reminded me that sometimes culture is shown visually, it's in front of you without using any words.
No,
Did
that's
you
go ahead.
pass out any business cards while you were there? And I'll tell you why I'm asking that in a second.
No, tell me why.
So I had at a company I'm at, we have an office in Japan, and I was at one of our big conferences, and I met one of the sales leaders for all of Japan. And before I met this person, I was getting like schooled about all the customs and stuff. And so one of the things when you meet somebody who holds a higher title than you is you hold the business card in both hands like this, and you bow your head and you hold it forward and allow them the opportunity to take it. But not just one hand, you got to have both hands on the business card and do it. So if you go back and you're promoting your podcast or whatever, and you're passing out the business card, both hands, head bowed, and then reach out and they'll take it.
That is very true. And one thing I would add to this is that you never give the credit card or the cash directly to the person. You put it on a tray first.
Hmm.
Oh,
At least
why?
that has
Why?
been my experience, is they always have a tray. Like you buy tickets at the bus station, you the underground
Yeah.
train. Not
Subway.
so much the train on the road, because then it's like one hand because he's driving, I guess. So that would be dangerous. But yeah, the underground and just at restaurants and other places, you always have a tray. I mean, and we see it in America where it's a tray at restaurant. You could see that, or the one that you flip,
Mhm.
but they have a tray in other scenarios as well. Um, for some reason, I don't know the reason behind it, but I mean, to me, it ties back into respect and
Yeah.
a little bit. That's what I would probably think.
Yeah, that's not stealing the money. It's like I take it because you gave it to me. Probably, I know for temples, a lot of temples you cannot take pictures inside because of the,
Mhm.
like it go against the ancestor or something. I know someone who used to live there and actually graduate from there, and he's from London.
Mhm.
And he said that's insane, the mentality for work over there as well. They they work, they cannot leave until their boss leaves the building. So they need to wait that the boss leaves the building to be able to leave. And he said for a period of 3 months, he had a boss that was literally staying and eating at the office and then watching a specific show on TV in his office. And so everybody were waiting that his show was done, left to leave. It was insane. So he said it has a plus and minus, and then they don't sleep a lot because they always like to go in the pub or go have a drink after. Definitely the company he was working at, and so they can do whatever they want as long as they're back at the office at a certain time. So sometimes they had sleepless nights, and he told me a bunch of story about Japan. But it's a country definitely that for the agency, I know that we mentioned that a lot on this platform, but last year Japan was other than cruising, that was the number one destination sold by my agency. So it's pretty incredible the amount of people who actually want to experience Japan in general. But the safety also and how clean it is in the everywhere. So that's definitely a tone of respect, like you mentioned. So thank you for sharing that. With us, it's aligned with everything we experience as well. So, how can learning just a few phrases, for example, in language, like Spanish, French, English, change your travel experience?
Yes, I think even a few phrases can really change your experience in going deeper, connecting deeper with the locals. Um, Even just instead of saying, what should I do here in your country, in your city? Um, it's like one thing. What's one thing that you wish more visitors will know about this place, about this country, about this city? Like, what should they know about? Where should they go? And that invites pride. That invites the person to really tell you about a place that maybe they would not have think of. Because when you ask the previous question, it's more like, oh, okay, what would a tourist from the US would like to do? But if you ask a better question, you might have a better answer that really give them a voice to share about a place that they particularly like. Maybe it's to go hang out with their friends. Maybe it's their grandmother's bakery. Who knows? But you're going to get a different answer. Um, and also, a lot of times, locals or tourists have a hard time to connect with locals in a way that they feel misunderstood. So the locals feel misunderstood by the tourists. So how could we go through this in a way and give them a voice to maybe even go deeper and debunk some myths? And I'm going to give you an example, because during my trip in Japan, I had the opportunity to go and meet a Maiko. And I don't know if you know the difference between a Maiko and a Gaiko, but a Gaiko is commonly known as a geisha.
Mm.
And a Maiko is simply a less experienced Gaiko, often younger. But still, that person will do a performance. And we actually have seen the performance. I got to play a game with the Maiko and ask any questions that I wanted to ask, which was amazing. And I could have asked her what kind of brand of makeup do you wear? Because they have beautiful makeup, the hairstyle, very elegant. A lot of time is put into how they are looking, even what they're wearing and everything. But I asked her, what do you wish more foreigners would understand about your profession?
That's a good one.
And I personally had a misconception because I've read a book called Geisha, and it tells you different things. Obviously, it's a story. It's not the real life, but that's why you travel, is to get to the real life and connect with locals. And she said, I wish more foreigners would understand that we are not prostitutes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Because that is the stereotype. That is often a stereotype. But they are highly trained individuals. They learn how to read music notes, how to play an instrument. They perform dances. They have years of training for doing what they're doing. And another thing too that she mentioned is to not just, if you see a Gaiko or a Maiko on the street, to not just snap a picture of them, to pause and ask them, can I take a picture of you? Because oftentimes the photography aspect of it is also part of how they're paid. It's part of their compensation. So just that gave her a voice, right? Like, it really allowed her to share about something that she wishes more people would know about. And it was a room full of people, and that stayed with me. And I think that's beautiful. To me, it's just, wow. Like, it really made me feel like I've connected with her, even though there was a translator that was interpreting everything. But that's the kind of interaction that I'm like, okay, I was able to be a little more intentional than if I would just have asked one of those other questions. Like, asking better questions sometimes could really have an impact. And I feel like in that interaction, it did.
I mean, it can be true for our Monday Mindset episode, because it's the same in leadership. The way you ask. So you mentioned that earlier. Not only what you ask, but the way you ask is important, and also ask something deeper. In leadership, we always said, like, something that we don't hear enough is like, are you happy in your role? For example, as an employee, we don't hear that. It's always about performance, about, what can you do more. But sometimes it's good to sit down, reflect, and actually ask the question that may open up a lot of doors to understand better about your associates, your employees, stuff like that. So I love the question you ask, because, like you said, it's probably not a kind of question that they used to have. They used to have, like, more the random question, like you were thinking about the makeup and things like that. But asking the question that actually make them have a voice is so very powerful. So yeah, good for you. So if someone wants to travel more meaningfully, so where should they start based on your experience?
Well, one thing that it can never get old, and I'm really, that's really part of who I am as a person, I think. So I think of this one, and anyone can do it, is start with curiosity. Like, just be curious. And over being judgmental, because we can all be judgmental too. So start with curiosity. Ask about childhood traditions or any traditions. Understand what respect means in their culture. And also learn how to say thank you. I would start there.
And where is the bathroom?
Yeah.
Baño, por favor. That's so funny. No, that's actually accurate. And when you travel like that, like Japan, for example, I know when you go to Cartagena, the basic of Spanish, at least French, English, which you cover a lot. But when you travel to those specific countries like Japan, are you trying to learn some basic, like, how are you doing? Hi, thank you, and things like that? Or when it's something like Japan, you just don't do that?
Yeah, that's a great question because I have zero knowledge of Japan, but I did research a couple of phrases.
Okay.
So the first thing I learned was arigato gozaimasu. Arigato gozaimasu means thank you.
Oh,
But as soon as we got to the airport in Chicago to fly to Japan through the Japan Airlines, wow, different. The big difference was how they say it. And they use
station.
thank you as a welcome, as a hello, which took me like, I was just, wow, okay. So how they say it, and of course they bow, and they say, arigato gozaimasu, arigato gozaimasu. And they keep saying it in a loop, and you're like, wow, okay, I feel like I'm already there. um, that notion of respect, even too, they bow everyone, the stewardess, all lined up in front of us, waiting at our gate, and they all bowed at us before we got on the plane. Wow, okay. See, that notion of respect is really everywhere. And so, yeah, I did learn arigato gozaimasu, but I just changed my intonation with it from the beginning to at the end of my trip. And sumimasen, excuse me. So I learned a couple of things just to be able to show appreciation, really. I think that's a form of respect in itself. And I would encourage anyone to do that as much as they
Wow.
can.
No, I have more question, but we're almost on time. So I will let you go, Will, because I know you have a question for Alex.
Yeah, I have two, well, three actually, quick ones. So one is, what's next on your bucket list? What's your travel destinations over the next few years that you're looking to try to
Good one.
experience?
Good one.
That's a good question because I'm always looking for the next destination. Well, one place that I've been that we're going this summer is Montreal. I'm hoping to spend a little bit of time there, a little longer, hopefully. Um, and then I know we want to go to Mexico in the next couple of months or years, and then as well as like kind of an international trip, probably in the continent of Africa.
Mm.
Not sure where, but a safari would be really nice, and that's a dream of my husband too. So we're thinking that would be something that will take us away from the normal life, right? Like really the same way Japan did culturally. And that's what I seek usually when I travel. I want a cultural type of travel with adventure and feel like I'm somewhere else to experience what it's like to live like them.
You have to check one of our previous episodes where we interviewed somebody who owns a safari touring company in Africa. So his name is Gil, and he's born and raised there, and just phenomenal. So if you're really looking for like some cliff notes in a 30 minutes or less format, he offers a lot of great ideas, and is very passionate about it, of course.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
You know who to contact for that. We did a
Yeah,
lot of safaris.
yeah. And I guess the second question is, was there a question we didn't ask that you wanted us to ask that you wanted to share with our audience? We may have covered everything, but if not, I want to make sure in the time left, you can share what you wanted to. We didn't
Not
ask about it.
not particularly. I think if one thing to remember is just stay curious. My podcast really seek to bring more understanding and appreciation of other people's culture. And I think if everyone makes the effort to be more curious about others, we will continue ish to live in a better world. And that's important because we're all different, but it's easy to focus on the differences. It's much more difficult to come with an open heart and an open mind and just listen. So trying to do that can go a long way.
I agree. Very well said. Very well said. And last question. This is an easy one. I know you'll get this one right for sure. Where can people find you?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty much everywhere. So my podcast is a video podcast on YouTube, everywhere you listen to your podcast, from where to here. And then on social media, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. The handle is at from where to hear pod. And my website is fromwheretohearpod.com. Oh, and I also have, if your listeners are interested, I have a free guide that they can find actually, let me tell you what it is first. It's top 5 phrases that unlock any cultures. So if they're interested in diving into that and just traveling more intentionally and more deeply with locals, they can download it at fromwheretoherepod.com/5phrases, and it's 5 the number 5 altogether.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. That's fantastic. So there you go, Wanderlusters. You have an artifact that you can look into and read and incorporate, which is very kind of you, Alex. So please be sure to check in the description. We'll have the links that Alex shared in there if you want to check that out and get that free resource that she offered, which is very, very kind. This has been a lot of fun. As Nick alluded to, time flies when you're having fun, but so glad you came on. It was so great to meet you when we did. And of course, you two speaking French, I was just sitting there against the wall while you talked through. But no, seriously, I think you have a great story to share and a lot that you shared that people can think about. So many thanks, Alex. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And that'll do it for this Wanderlust Wednesday, winner. So please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow 2 for the Win on your favorite platform. And thanks again to Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations for sponsoring today's episode. That'll do it for now. See you next week, winners.
Bye, winners.